Hello, it's Mike back once again with tip number 53 from our top 100 tips, tools, and life lessons from the Insight One Awakening Heart Seminar. And we're going to look at resentment this time. Maybe you can think about some of the people that you have resentment towards in your life. And maybe some of those are things that have happened recently, or like guilt, maybe it's something from months or even years ago that you're holding on to in terms of resentment or anger towards somebody. And similar to guilt, a resentment works in a way that it creates, it's kind of the savior, again, of our image of how we think someone else should have been or should be in the face of actions that they've done or inactions that they've done that violate that image that we have in terms of who they should have been. So again, it's coming out of the should, but resentment is a focus on somebody else, how they should have been. And what allows, again, it creates this barrier that in the face of actions or inactions that somebody else took that violate our image of how we think they should be, we get to hold on to our image. And we're going to explore also with resentment a little bit later in terms of how we let go of it. But it's quite interesting to notice, a little different from guilt, in terms of the resentment allows us to feel right. It allows us to feel right in our belief about how someone else should have been. And oftentimes, resentment is interesting because we feel like we're actually punishing the person by holding resentment towards them. And somehow, if we let go of that resentment, we're going to condone the behavior that we think was inappropriate. And yet what's interesting to notice is who is the resentment hurting? Is it hurting them or is it hurting me? And I think there's plenty of studies out now that show that as we hold anger or resentment inside of us, it has an impact on us in terms of our body and in terms of our outlook on life. So again, looking at the dynamic once again in terms of resentment, we get that kind of barrier that allows us to hold on to our image, effectively allows us to stay right in the face of how we think someone else should have been. And we're going to explore just a little bit later in terms of how we begin to let go of resentment as well. So once again, thank you for watching. Check out what's happening at Insight Boston at insightboston.org, what's happening globally at insightseminars.org, and certainly check out what's happening in your local Insight community. Have a great day.